behind closed doors. I'm a fool for your love.
Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and welcome back to my power rankings here on Sports Fan Entertainment. It's the Anthony James Show. I'm back yet again with power rankings. I'll tell you, it was harder this week. I'd say about the last 10 slots was really hard just moving teams around. I didn't want to give them too big of jumps, so some teams I kept them in the same spot or I didn't move them up as much as I'd like. That's unfortunately how it went, but I felt pretty good with the top. But let's get right into it. Number one overall, Patriots, of course. Why would I change them? They've been number one pretty much the entire season. I think there's only been 2 weeks where they weren't. They're looking good, no surprise, so they're at the top. Next, the Dallas Cowboys. They had a great win in Sunday Night Football against the Eagles. A tough team, and if they didn't win, the division would be a lot closer. Right now, they have a decent lead. We'll see if they keep it, but right now, they're the best team, not just in their division, but in the NFC. Then we move on to the Broncos. They won again. They're going to have a great matchup with the Raiders this week. We'll see who's truly in charge of the AFC West. Just like the Cowboys, they moved up 2 slots. They're now in the top 3. Broncos they're a good team. They are a good team. In my eyes, the best way to describe the Broncos is their quarterback play and their offense is a little bit better, but their defense isn't as good. For now, that's good enough to be a contender. They are a very good team. Next up, another AFC West team, the Oakland Raiders. They move up 3 slots. The Raiders look really good right now. A big matchup against the Broncos, as I mentioned already. Big job, though. They did beat the Buccaneers. I think that was a great finish because they needed to win. That was close to a tie game. We almost had our 3rd tie game. And if they didn't win, boy, they would have been in trouble. That wouldn't have been good. That wouldn't have looked good. Despite all those penalties, they won. They are a good team now. They are a good team. They shouldn't have won the game the way those penalties were coming down. They somehow, someway won. I give them props for that. The Raiders are looking like a good team. Although I'm not going to pick them to beat the Broncos. I don't care. Right now, they are a good team. They are looking really good. I can't stress that enough. Next up, the Steelers. I actually move them up a slot despite being on bye. I know I'm breaking that rule of mine where I keep teams the same on bye. That really was the way it had to go. Either I was going to give the Falcons a big jump, or I just couldn't put the Vikings in the top 5 the way they played. And I can't put Seattle in the top 5 either the way they played. So the Steelers move up. I guess that's how it is. Well, I'm worried about the Ravens game. I think they can lose that, but we'll see. Talking about the Vikings, I move them down 4 slots. They are number 6. What a pathetic performance. You want to hear my thoughts and opinions about that Vikings game? I made a video after it. You can hear all my thoughts on that. Best way to put it, though, I was not pleased with that performance. And same thing with Seattle. Just like the Vikings, they moved down 4 slots. Seattle should have won that game against the Saints. No excuse. I was very disappointed with the fact they lost. That's a huge loss. That should have never happened. Next up, I have the Falcons. They move up 3 slots. They had a very good win against the Packers. People will complain about the Packers all they want, but let's be honest, the Packers are the Packers. At worst, they'll be a playoff. They'll be contending for the playoffs this year. They should be in the playoffs. We'll see. They already have 3 losses, though. That doesn't help. But anyway, I mean, the fact the Falcons were able to beat that's a really good team, and that shows how good they are. We'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. For now, they're a top 10 team, and again, we'll just see how they do. NFC's weak, so they have a chance. Next up, the Chiefs. They move up 3 slots. They are now in the top 10. They are looking good. Unfortunately, they're behind the Broncos and the Raiders. They all have 2 losses, but they have 1 less win. Wow, I mean, the Chiefs, I feel like at the end of the day, they're going to get the short end of the stick between the 3 teams. And not just because they have 1 less win right now. I think in general, when this regular season's done, I think if a team doesn't make it between those 3, I'd probably go with the Chiefs. And it's unfortunate. They're a good team, but boy, I mean, they're just winning games. They're winning games. You got to give them credit there. Next, the Packers at 10. I decided to leave them there. They played a very close game against the Falcons despite a lot of injuries. And Packer fans, as a Vikings fan, I know how injuries are. They suck. And you played well. You only lost by a point. So I'm not going to knock you down. You're still top 10. Eagles, I move them down 2 slots. They're out of the top 10. Oh, well, you played a tough game against the Cowboys, and you looked like you were going to win it. You should have won that game. You didn't, but I'm not going to knock you too much, so you move down 2 slots. Next, the Cardinals. Oh boy, you lost to the Panthers, who've been doing poor this year. Thank goodness I didn't have thank goodness I didn't have the Cardinals winning their division or going to the Super Bowl this year, because they have not looked good. Which that doesn't surprise me. I had them as a playoff team, but the fact that they're not playing well does not surprise me. Next up, the Giants, bye week, so I kept them the same. Next up, the Redskins. Now, last week with the tie, I kept them in the same spot, but the Bills were here at 14, and I couldn't keep them in the same spot after they lost, so I moved the Redskins and Bengals up 1 spot each, so the Redskins are 14, the Bengals are 15. You tied. I don't know. How do you celebrate a tie? I don't know. So you move up 1 spot. I guess that's better than nothing. Bills, I moved them down to 16. They lost against the Patriots. Not that that was a surprise. They beat a third-string quarterback whenever they played them the first time around. So, oh, Bills. A good thing I didn't get too excited about them. They're starting to fall back down as we expected. And now after the top half, now we're at the Texans. They move up 1 slot. You beat the Lions, which I think's a solid team. So good win there. Helps if you want to win the division. Talking about the Lions, I move them down 1 spot. You lost to the Texans, an okay team. Should have won. And at the end of the day, this isn't going to be a playoff team, and it's games like this, games like the Titans. The Lions, if they want to be a contender in the NFC or just even the NFC North, they need to win those games. They haven't yet. That's the biggest problem with the Lions. I move up the biggest move this week, 7 spots, the Titans to 19. They're 4-4, and I feel like I haven't given them enough credit. They had a very good win against the Jaguars. I was going to move them up a few slots, but the way they've been playing, the fact that they're doing decent, really, I decided it's time to give the Titans credit. I moved them up 7 spots. I'm not the biggest. I didn't have high hopes for the Titans this year, but they're doing well. It's time I finally give them credit for how they're playing. So you move up 7 slots, Titans. Next, the Colts. I move them down 1 slot. Another loss. That should have been a win against the Chiefs. It's a tough team, but if this team wants to win their division, they need to win that game. They didn't. Colts, they're definitely not out of the division by any stretch of the imagination, but that's a game they should have won, plain and simple. Next, the Chargers, I move them down a slot. You lost this time around against Denver. Oh well, it was somewhat of a close game. It just sucks you're in this division. Honestly, it sucks. I think outside the NFC East, you put them in any other division and they're contending for the division. Unfortunately, this is the division they're in and they're hurting because of it. Next up, the Ravens, the Dolphins, both were on bye week, so I kept them the same. After that, I have at 24 the Saints. You beat a good team, Saints. You beat the Seahawks, a team that I'm high on. I have winning the Super Bowl. I am going to give you credit. You move up 5 spots. You all know I've been doubters on the Saints, and I'm not saying they're a good team now. No. But if you can beat the Seahawks like you did, I'm going to give you credit. That's why I move you up 5 spots. The Jets, I kept them the same. I wanted to move them up. I like moving teams up when they win. Unfortunately, I didn't. It's the Browns, so I don't feel too bad. They have 3 wins now. We'll see. They play, I believe, the Dolphins this week. I'm sorry I can move you up, Jets, but that's I said this second half, the last 10 picks were super hard moving teams around, so that's why the Jets were here. And same thing with the Buccaneers. I moved you down 5 spots to 26. Not necessarily how I felt about you. That's just the way things fell this time around. Look at the teams. I had 3 teams stay in the same spot. I had to do that. I had to move the Saints up. So unfortunately for you, you moved down 5 spots. If you win, you'll be moving back up, but that's just how it rolled this week. The Rams, I felt bad. You're on a bye week, and I moved you down. Again, that's how it rolled. I couldn't see myself moving the Buccaneers 6 spots down. I don't like moving bye week teams. I did this occasion. Oh well, this is my power ranking, so I'll do it how I want. Not high on the Rams, even though they have 3 wins. Panthers, I kept you at the same spot, 28. Trust me, I wanted to move you up. Can you not see? My power rankings, it's hard. The teams in the late teens, early 20s, they lost. But I can't move them down 5 spots, and I can't move these teams 5 spots up. That's just how it worked, unfortunately. Sorry. Sorry, I guess that's the best way to put it. You won. You beat a decent team in the Cardinals, and I think if you still have playoff hopes, which you should, you're not too far from the division. This is a game you need to win, and you won. So congratulations there. Another Bears. I moved you up one spot. Trust me, I want to move you up a lot more, but look at the power rankings. I just can't, or else it's gonna be like 10 spots, and I don't think I should be moving the Bears up 10 spots for their second win of the season. You beat a good team though in the Broncos, the Vikings. I give you credit for that. Hurt as a Vikings fan, but hey, good job for you guys. Then the Jaguars, you moved down 6 spots. You haven't been looking good. Frankly, you deserve this drop. You've just been poor. Number 31, the San Diego 49ers. They stay in the same spot. Bye week. 32, Browns. You poor Browns. They have to win eventually, though, right? Please, please, I hope they do. Even if they don't, I feel like the Browns are finally starting to turn around. Jamie Collins' trade is huge for them, but besides even that, they're competing in their games. They are putting effort in. Hugh Jackson, I think, is doing a decent job despite the record. Give him time. That's all I'm going to say. Give him time. He could be good for you. But anyway, that's it for this. These are the power rankings this week. Tell me what you guys think about it. I know you always do, so I'd love to hear that in the comments below. And if you're new to me, you can follow me on Twitter at Anthony James TV, link in the description. And you can also subscribe to my channel, Anthony James TV. I make plenty of NFL videos there, so go check them out. Probably after this week, I will be talking about contenders for the Super Bowl, so you can look forward to that video coming out next week. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, this is Anthony. I'm out. Thank you all for watching.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.